It's time to panic, and if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, this is exactly what you should be thinking right now. Now, I know this is an overdramatic statement. Obviously, we're just going to try to talk about the situation that happened on opening night for the Oilers, and yes, it could just be a one-night thing, but to me, this is exactly how I expect the entire Oilers experience to be this season. Now, you have a great forward grouping. Obviously, with Mcdavid and Draisaitl, there's not going to be the same offensive problems that you had on opening night, but man, that Oilers defense needs some improving. I think they might be bottom 10 in the league with their defense. They just can't stop anyone from entering the zone, and when you have two goalies who seem a little bit shaky and no blue line in front of them, it seems like you didn't address the biggest hole on your roster this offseason. And I don't even want to hear the fact that the Oilers have the best player in the world, he's on this big contract so they can't afford anybody else. That's just not the case. All of your forwards are on pretty team-friendly deals. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is, McDavid is, Draisaitl is, and that's the three best players on your team. And you're telling me that the blue line didn't get addressed at all? The fact that Nurse is still making the most on your defense and he is not a top defender, and then you have the same two goalies running it back. I know you can't really get rid of that Jack Campbell contract, but I'm sorry, you should have made some big trade for a guy, whether Connor Hellebuck was available or not, and same thing with Gibson, because this is going to be a rocky season for the Oilers. Everyone can say it's just one game, but this team's going to struggle this year. They're going to be good, they're going to make the playoffs, but come postseason time, if this is the team that they're rocking with, I don't see the Oilers getting even to the conference final again this year. There are way better teams out there. Dallas, Vegas, Colorado, maybe even Minnesota as well. These teams are going to come into this season and they're all improved except for the Oilers. And I don't know, if you're a fan, I don't know how you aren't trying to hold their GM a little bit more accountable and say, hey, how do we not improve the biggest hole on our roster? How do we have the league's best player and we're still not going to build around him? I mean, I'm not an Oilers fan. I do love watching their team though because it's so fun. But when I see things like that against a Canucks team that I would say is average at best, that's tough to see. The Canucks have a great defense in my opinion, and they have a pretty solid roster, but there's no reason for them to be scoring 8 goals on you in opening night. For Boser to have 4 goals on you in opening night, that just seems a little bit ridiculous. But this is just me pointing out the fact that I think Edmonton had a real opportunity here before they had to pay guys like Draisaitl an even bigger contract to really beef up their blue line and go for it this season. You see teams like Toronto going and adding necessary pieces, holes that they noticed last postseason that they needed to fill, but you don't see that in Edmonton, which to me is really weird. But I kind of want to know what everybody else thinks. Are you all panicking after this first game? Yes, I know it's one game, but it's kind of exactly what we saw last season. You can't tell me that the Oilers looked any better on opening night than they did last year, which would be my biggest concern if I was a fan. But comment what you think about this team, what you think their biggest issue is and how they can improve it, or if you think they're going to be okay and this is just the growing pains of the early part of the season. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow for more content. I'll see you guys in the next one.